I guess one of the things that I would ask as a consumer, as someone who has spent most of their life living in an apartment or a condo where you can't necessarily smoke inside, what's the odor like on something like this?
So it's very minimal because it's more of a vaporized than a burning event. So there's not really the same combustion smell. There's not really the same smoke smell. It doesn't really linger the same as if you were to smoke a joint. It's just a light sort of fresh air, and then it just moves through. It doesn't really stick around the same as smoking a joint would. It's much more discreet.
Okay. And I guess, sorry, I did have one more question. I noticed that the color of the rosin here is different than a much lighter color than some of the other rosins I've seen. Could you tell us why?
So there's a handful of variables that play into that in itself, starting all the way from the genetics, like we talked about before, all the way through to potentially the way it was finished being processed. So one of the things that we have with solventless that solvent products have an advantage on is we can't change the color of the trichome heads. If we harvest that plant and those trichome heads are overripe and they're a really dark color already, because that's what happens, your rosin is going to be a darker color when you finish it. If you wash it with too much agitation and you get chlorophyll that passes through your system and gets into your filter bags and gets into your hash, when you press that on your press, you have chlorophyll coming out in your rosin, which will turn it into a darker color. It can impact the hash if you're trying to turn the hash into your products. And then also if you're pressing at a really high temperature, you can get a really dark product because you're more or less burning the product at that point. So there's a handful of different variables along the way that can really contribute to whether or not you see that nice bright color or whether or not you get a really dark piece at the end.
Cool. Zach, you had a question?
Yeah, I'm just wondering what temperature setting you would recommend for this product.
To consume it at?
Yeah.
So I would suggest starting low. A lot of people like to start around 450, 480. 480 might even be a bit high if you're a new consumer. I would suggest starting around that 450. You get a really good flavor. You'll get a really nice feel from the vapor that's coming through. And then as you start to get a bit more familiar with the product itself, you can look at increasing the temperatures. I myself like to have a dab around 520, which for a lot of people might consider it a bit high, but I really like just the way that that dab feels versus a low temperature dab personally. So it really comes down to preferences. But I would suggest for sure, start low, start slow, then you get a feel for the temperature, you get a feel for the vibe, you get a feel for the impact, and then you can sort of play with it a bit more from there.
Awesome. Would you be able to maybe tell us a little bit about what's coming up? Because we know we have this awesome Rainbow Driver Live rosin coming, but what else is on its way?
Yeah, so we are working on a few other things. We do have another rosin coming down the line that's going to be at a bit of a lower price point, still really high quality, but again, a bit of a lower price point so that you can have sort of that everyday smoke and then also the special occasion smoke. And then we're looking at bringing some vapes down the line. And then we also are looking at some novel products that nobody else is really working with, some solventless diamonds and sauce. So stay tuned for that.
That sounds super exciting. I know that there are people on this call who are very excited about it, including, not including myself. Hands up from Zach. Zach, do you have a question or are you just excited about it?
Both. I have both. I'm excited about it, but I have a question too. What's the difference in terms of processing, or what would make, you just mentioned that you're going to have a cheaper rosin come down the line. What's the difference in, say, like the Platinum line live rosin versus a more affordable product? Is it a difference in process, or what other factors kind of contribute to that?
It's more a difference in inputs. And so what we're looking at doing is having a platinum line and a gold line. And our platinum line will be a really super premium indoor products, for example, the Woody Nelson Rainbow Driver, because that's been grown so pristine. Our gold line is still going to be super high quality products that you're used to, but they're going to be more of like your outdoor, and so a bit more accessible products, a bit of a different tier of quality, but still really high quality. When I mentioned the 22 different test washes that we did, that was specifically for our gold line, so that we could make sure that we're taking, out of all of those outdoor options and different options that we had, we're still presenting you with the best quality product that we can find, even though it's going to be a bit of a lower price point. We're thinking about it as like the difference in your glass of wine that you have at dinner every day, and then that bottle that you splurge on every now and then, because every now and then you really want to get like the top shelf. So we're sort of looking at it as that two different lines.
Got it.
Sweet. Well, are there any other questions? Going once, going twice. Oh, Ty.
I got one last
Yeah.
one. How would you suggest to store the product? Like once I get it from a store and I bring it home, is there certain ways that I should be kind of storing it if I'm keeping it a little bit longer, or you know, depending on if I'm using it every day?
Yeah, that's a great question. If you're going to be storing it for a longer period, I would keep that in the fridge. Keep it in a cool, dark place so that it doesn't really have any impact from sweating, from being in the heat. If you're going to be dabbing it all day long, keep it on your table, go for it. But if you're just going to have one dab here and then maybe another dab a day or two later, keep that in the fridge. I would also just make sure that you pull it out maybe 10-15 minutes before you want to have a dab and let that jar really come to room temperature. That will ensure that you don't have any condensation in the jar and that you really get to experience the terpenes at room temperature. You'll get much more of a brighter vibe from them at that time.
Awesome. I'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sweet. All right. Well, that was a pretty awesome PK session. Kate, thank you very much for all the knowledge. And is there a place that bud tenders and consumers can find the HiFi team and ask questions and engage if they have any questions?
Yeah, we're on all the social medias. The easiest place to hit us up right now is on Instagram, probably, High Fidelity Solventless, all one word. You can also find us on LinkedIn and you can find us on Reddit. But reach out at any point. I love cannabis. I love hash. I love talking about it. I love playing with it. I love everything that has to do with it. And so if you do have anything you want to chat about, feel free to reach out and I'm happy to just go down the rabbit hole with you.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Caitlin, thank you so much. Thank you to Zach and Ty for attending this session. And thank you to all the wonderful retailers and bud tenders who are carrying and recommending this product. We're super excited about this one and hope that you are too. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and take care, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.